Literal equations, solving for a variable, are when we just have a bunch of variables in a problem. And so we don't have numbers that we're working with. We're not using, we're not combining like terms. We're really just working with a bunch of variables. Okay, so your process is very similar to solving an equation, but it's a little bit different because we're not actually combining like terms. We're not able to do any of that because we're not sure what the variables, like what numbers they are. So we're kind of doing things a little bit differently. So on this first one, this is an equation you'll see in science, mostly physics. Its force is equal to mass times acceleration. Okay, and if I want you to solve this for m, okay, so my first step I would suggest is to circle the variable term. Well, my variable term, remember terms are separated by addition and subtraction symbols, so I only have one term. I only have MA. Okay, so next, my next step would be to undo the operations beginning with the outermost variable and working toward the variable you were asked to define. Okay, so I'm asked to define what m is. Okay, so right now I'm saying this is force is equal to mass times acceleration. When we have two variables next to each other, that indicates multiplication. So now we need to do the inverse operation to get m all by itself. So the inverse of multiplying would be divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by a. And when I do that, I have force divided by acceleration is equal to m, or F divided by A equals m. Now, we want you to use the fraction bar as division. Okay, so we want you to recognize that the fraction bar does mean to divide. This next one is to solve for h. Okay, this is the area of a triangle. You'll be using this in my class next year. And this is area is equal to 1/2 base times height. And I want you to solve for h. Again, I only have one term because I don't have any addition and subtraction symbols. So I'm going to start unpeeling this onion. You're going to start with your outermost variable or number and then move in. Okay, so the opposite, or actually the inverse of 1/2 is 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation by 2. When I do that, I have 2 times a is equal to 2 times 1/2 times base times this height. And I'm going to leave this in blue. Okay, so I can see here that my 2's are going to cancel, and I'm left with 2a is equal to bh. And now I still want this h all by itself. So I have 2 times the area is equal to the base times the height. Now I have multiplication currently, so I need to undo that. I need to use my inverse operation, which would be division. So I have that 2 times area divided by base is equal to the height. And that is where I would leave this problem. Okay, in this next one, solve for a. This is the perimeter of a triangle where you have 3 sides, so side 1, or A, B, and C. And if I want you to solve for a, my first step would be to circle the variable term. And now I'm going to work from my outermost variable and remove it from that side of the equality. So I have a plus b plus c. So I'm going to start just subtracting. So I have p minus c is equal to a plus b. And now I'm going to get rid of this b. So I have p minus c minus b is equal to a. And that would be my final answer because I am in terms of a. So I have a is equal to p minus c minus b. And I am done.